Hi everyone, welcome back. I wanted to share a little bit of knowledge with you. I wanted to share about my favorite transaction, the EWM Monitor. And in this video, I will show you how a business user can use the monitor to access all the relevant information regarding their warehouse using SAP EWM. Let's have a look together. Let's jump into the system in the EWM Monitor together. Well, first things first, we're in the classic SAP GUI menu. So we're going to enter the transaction. The monitor transaction is /n/SCWM/MON. MON stands for monitor. And as we enter, we see that the first thing that SAP is asking us is, hey Milos, I don't know what's your default warehouse. Indeed, this is a training system. I could use several warehouses. I didn't set up a default one in my SAP user, and the system is asking, hey, what's the warehouse number you want to access? So in case in this SAP system I have multiple warehouses, I want to select a specific one I'm going to display the data of. So let's have a look which warehouse we're going to enter. We have several warehouses, as you can see. We're using this as a training system. I'm going to enter the KT01 central warehouse, so I'm going to select it. And then also SAP is asking mandatory what kind of monitor you want to use. Now here usually what people do is they just select the SAP monitor, and that's what I'm going to do as well. The SAP monitor is the standard monitor that comes by default in the EWM application. Of course, you can customize your own monitor to, for example, be able to select only certain reports. So if users don't want to see a huge menu with a lot of options, but want just a dedicated menu with only a few nodes, or maybe they want a custom-made node included in their menu, then you would need to customize your own monitor. We're going to select the SAP monitor, and we're just going to go in by clicking, I call it a clock. I'm not sure, I don't think it's really a clock, but the execute button, also F8 if you're using functional buttons. And as we open it, we can see the monitor. The monitor presents itself in three different parts in their core layout. You can see on the left, you see the selection reports, also called nodes. These nodes are literally a list of reports that are available for you to use to access data within the warehouse. So you see on the top, we are in the Warehouse Management Monitor SAP, the standard SAP monitor, and we're checking data in the warehouse number KT01. And here on the left, you see several menus to be able to access data. All of these contain reports, executable reports that will present the data selected on the right. On the right part of the screen, you would be seeing the result of the selection of the report, and here below you can drill down into more details of the data. You will see how it works in a moment. So without further ado, without explaining every single click, I'm just going to ask the question, hey Milos, how can I see the physical stock that is currently in the warehouse KT01? Well, the stock is in one of these menus, and the stock specifically is in the stock and bin folder. So I will open this folder by clicking the arrow to the left, and here I already see I have some folders opened up. I'm going to close them all so I can easily display everything that is in the stock and bin. And as you can see, there's several reports, and one of them is the physical stock. We will see in a moment. I will give you some tips of how to navigate. But be aware, the SAP standard monitor has a lot of standard reports. Therefore, it might not be the best starting point for someone who doesn't already know the SAP monitor, because it's very easy to get lost. If I start opening these folders, it's very easy to start getting lost of where am I? So always good advice is to set up your own monitor for your basic warehouse user that will be using only certain reports, therefore limiting the number of reports you can see. But right now we're using the standard EWM monitor, and that's why we see the big menu and the physical stock is here. So what's the physical stock, Milos, in warehouse KT01? I'm going to double click physical stock report, And here SAP presents me a selection screen, so I could potentially say I want to see the stock of this specific product, or I want to see the stock that has a specific stock type, or I want to see the stock that is in the specific handling unit. But right now I'm just going to select everything, so I'm not going to do any specific selection. I'm going to leave everything blank, so give me the entire EWM stock in the warehouse KT01, and I'm going to click execute here on the bottom right. Let's execute the search, and finally the EWM Monitor is going to present the data here on the right. And the data that's presented is very flexible to decide what you want to see versus what is being presented. Right now we see that in the storage type 0020, in the bin 0020 010101, we have the product KT material 6. The product description is KT test IM material 6. We have 112 kilos of that product. And here on the right, you see I have a lot more information. If I just scroll to the right, there's a lot more information about this stock. Of course, some things you might be more interested, some things less interested. And a total, I have 3 line items, 3 stock items in different bins. 1 item of stock in bin 0020 and 2 other items in the bin scrap. So indeed, this is a test environment. I don't have much stock in this warehouse, really a little, but this is how you display data. Now, why is the EWM Monitor cool? Well, I'm going to deep dive into the details of this layout and how, for example, I can sum up the total quantity of the kilos I have and maybe even do it per product. But before I start doing that in the monitor, I just want to focus here on the left side on the selection to get you started on the right foot. Okay, so on the left, we were saying a moment ago, the SAP Monitor is great because it's standard, it comes by default, and you don't have to worry about setting up your own monitor. At the same time, it is quite a big menu. I opened it up a little bit earlier, and you can see that unless you already know how to navigate it, it's very easy to get lost. So one piece of advice is, if you're starting off, so if you're just starting your EWM journey or you're just starting to use the monitor, my advice is to just remember the following reports. One is for the outbound deliveries, so all of us need to ship the goods out of the warehouse. You definitely want to search for outbound delivery orders. These are executable outbound delivery documents for which we need to pick the goods and ship the goods to our customers. So that's in outbound documents, outbound delivery order. The other one is the inbound. We need to receive the goods. So in the inbound folder right here, you have inbound documents, inbound delivery. Okay. Here you can search for inbound deliveries in the system. And if you want to search the stock, we just did that. So stock and bin physical stock. And the last one I always give as a starter is the tasks. So if you want to see if there's an open task to move the stock from one bin to another bin, you need to go to Documents, Warehouse Task, and this menu here, Warehouse Task, this report will produce all the warehouse tasks that are currently in the system. So again, I double clicked, the selection screen opens. If I want some specific tasks, let's select only the canceled tasks that are currently existing in this warehouse. Anything that was canceled, anything canceled? Yes, 2 tasks were canceled. They were created on 22nd of October 2024 and 8th of November 2024. Okay, and then I start reading all the data here. Now back to the menu, a few more things before we jump into the data. One other thing that people ask me is, Milos, I would love to have my own monitor, but right now I'm stuck with the standard. Is there any way to make it easier to navigate and not get lost or not get lost too much? Well, yes, you can hide nodes that you're not actually using. What I mean with that is, if, for example, you did not activate the material flow system, you don't use the billing, you don't use labor management, you can right-click that node and you can click on Hide Node. So right-click Hide Node will hide that node from the view. And actually, although very simple, it can be very effective. If I don't want to get lost, I can just hide whatever I'm not going to use, and that's exactly what I'm going to do now You see I'm hiding all these nodes that I'm not planning to use, not at the moment. I will only be willing to use my outbound documents, outbound delivery order, and inbound for the inbound deliveries, documents for the warehouse tasks right here, and the stock and bin for the physical stock. Even within a folder, so you see I only have, oops, physical inventory is left here. Let's hide it. Hop. So first of all, Milos, I made a mistake. I need physical inventory back. No problem. How do you do that? On the top, you can show the hidden nodes. If you click this, it's going to show you everything you've hidden. And let's assume I want to get physical inventory back visible. Right click, show hidden node. Hopla, it's back visible. Hide all the hidden nodes again. And I'm good, and I have my physical inventory back. I'm going to hide it again now since I really don't need it. And one more thing, I believe that also internally within the folders, if I want to hide everything except the warehouse tasks, I should still be able to do so. You see hide node, hide node. You get the drill. So basically I can, even within the SAP standard monitor, I can control what's visible. And often people underestimate the power of cleaning up, you know, whether that's cleaning up your room, cleaning up your desktop, cleaning up your folders, cleaning up your SAP monitor menu on the left can really help just focus on what matters the most. So, and this is exactly what I'm doing. I'm focusing on what matters the most, hiding, 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 until I'm left with only the warehouse tasks. Great. So now that you know how to hide the nodes and display only what you actually need, you see how easier it is to find the stuff you need. You just go to the warehouse tasks, and then I search for the warehouse task, and here I see my canceled tasks. And once again, I produce the result on the right. Great. So I showed you the monitor. I told you about the SAP standard monitor. I told you how you can hide the nodes that you don't need. But also, one more thing is once you actually display the data, it can be very convenient to toggle this full screen on off, which would literally hide the selection. So let's say I want to focus on the data. I would click full screen on off, and hop, voila, the selection part is off, so the whole screen is usable now for data. Much more convenient to read data like this. If I want to select stuff again, I just click again and I have it back. All right. Great. One last thing. Let's assume I'm now in warehouse KT01. If I wanted to change the warehouse and go to a different warehouse to see some other data from another warehouse, how can I do that? It's very simple. You go to the small man smiling. I don't think he's smiling really. It's a white face. Okay, he's a smileless man, but I like to think that he's smiling here. And you just click the default values, and again you're presented with the initial pop-up. You can select the warehouse number, you can select the monitor, so you can select which warehouse you want to display and with which monitor. All right, I think we said enough, and I think we are ready to check and deep dive in the data of the reports that we can produce with the EWM monitor.